Oh, did you want to do it, Linda?
No, you're an attunement hog. Go ahead.
Really? All right. How about a nice deep breath? Being thankful in this age of COVID that we can take a nice deep breath. And just settling in and coming together in our immediate circle. Awakening our heart space to receive the wisdom and the information that is readily available here in this moment. Letting go for a moment any resistances or preconceptions that might halt that love and that wisdom and that information from flowing toward us. And knowing with everything that's going on in the outside world for each one of us and for us Homo sapiens as a whole, we have this channel available. And we trust that together more than we do alone. And so with that, let's listen with our eyes, see with our ears, and feel with our hearts. And so be it.
So be it. And with Linda leaving, we probably should do a really short check-in, not as long as mine. But if you need it, go ahead and let's do a check-in.
Were you talking
Been
to
2
me?
weeks. What?
Were you talking to me about doing a check-in?
I said everybody, but yeah, we've been, yeah.
Go, Glenn.
Well, here we go. Moving in toward the next bye season. As we go forward, Marion and I are going to California next week, Monday, so I will not be on the call next week. I wanted to do my little prostate procedure, see our son, and just taking care of business. I mean, I have some concern about going into the COVID world of the mainland, but we will be very isolated and double masked and all of that. And we fly in one day, do the procedure the next, and fly back here the next. So it's just as fast as we can get over there and back. And now coming back, we have a 14-day quarantine when we come back here. So I'll see you Monday, 2 weeks, more or less. So blessings and prayers. Here we go, rock and roll. Every day, another breath. And just let it continue to unfold. So that's my quick.
So I can be brief. Yeah, there's a lot of COVID around now, more and more all the time. And even in Boulder County, I checked yesterday, not today, but yesterday, in the whole county, there were only like 9 beds left available. The rest were already taken. And they've got us pretty much on lockdown now, no inside dining, typical red, code red. Actually, they came up with a new one, said code purple, which was even more dastardly, but they decided not to do that. So anyway, we have that going on. So I've been pretty holed up here at the house, but his grandkids are supposed to be here for Christmas. So I got a tree up and decorating and that kind of stuff. But we still have to pay attention to see whether they already bought tickets. So hopefully they can fly. They're supposed to get here on the 23rd. So we'll see by then, maybe things will slacked off a little bit. Besides that, I've just been, like Glenn said, just kind of taking care of business and I do have one thing for our agenda. This is totally personal. I would like to change the name of Executive Council. I'd like to get the executive thing out of there because I've had a little bit of feedback, but I think it's my own thing that, I was part of a couple of organizations that I knew a hell of a lot more than the executives, but they held that executive thing. So it may just be my projection. So, but anyway, besides that, everything's good for me.
I can be quick. I have been very focused. Well, I'm living here, deciding whether I'm going to take this for another month tonight, and enjoying being in nature here really a lot. And I've been very focused on my movie and my book, rolling into the next phase of that. And that makes me really happy. I feel like I really want to get this done. And so December's my time. And I think so noticing that I'm not really wanting to be super engaged in a lot of different places, just I think the holidays are a good time to use that time to do that. And I'll get on the fire team tonight because finally it's evolving into something that I think might work for everyone. Just there to really support them, support Amani, which is to have, what each person take one day a week, so nobody gets burned out, and get a lineup of people involved, and so that's good. I haven't missed it at all. Though the one day I did go in the very beginning before we stopped it, a couple of days, it was beautiful. And I think it was evolving into something really quite nice. But it was nice not to have to feel like I had to get up and get engaged that early, and have the time to kind of wake up and do what I want to do. So that's pretty much where I am. Yeah, I don't know what else to say around that. Just feel I'm just kind of feeling into the gamut of the connection field, and what's going on there. I mean, I feel like I have a lot of things bubbling up for it, but I don't want them to bubble up until January. So, but I can see some things that are showing up that are very powerful around, what came up with 11/11, and I'm getting more involved with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission meeting, talking to people, and kind of pulling in some deeper understandings and some things that we could do inside of Good of the Whole, but also specifically for my movie. But it's very powerful what's going on in Maine, and there is no other Truth and Reconciliation in the United States. There's something, but it's not an indigenous truth in something in Georgia. So this is very powerful what's going on here in Maine, and I feel like I'm put here very precisely in some ways, and I'm just feeling into what that is and what that could mean for Good of the Whole. and this weaving the hoops of many hoops. So, but I'm not acting on it. I do not want to add anything. I mean, this is how I feel right now, and I'm not against doing stuff, but I don't want to add anything to my plate at this point. I want to keep it so that I'll be present, but I want to, yeah, take care of things here. So that's my presencing. And of course, if, you know, if there's things that are moving or we're really attempting to do fundraising or whatever, of course I'll be present. But that's where my heart is at right now, is to have the time over the holidays to get this as much as I can get done. And also one other thing which I know is bubbling up in my consciousness is the 7 days of rest. And usually I'm incredibly engaged, and Go to the Whole is very engaged in the 7 days of rest. And I tried to get on, make it work to get on the water law and do all that stuff with them. And they have it at Mondays at the same time we have.
Paddy Bottomley or two others.
Sorry. They have it at the same exact time. So I would have to totally pull out of, their meetings are on Mondays at the Resonance and the Global Heart Resonance calls. Anyway, that's my.
Hi, everybody. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I have to say that it really felt nice to have some days off. I can't speak for everybody, but I really needed to just say, I don't have to be responsible for anything today, except for what I needed to do. And that didn't have to do with the connection field. So I appreciated that time. And Shell, if the Heart Resonance call on Mondays, can you just turn it over to someone on the council? And
Yeah, I should have, and I think with moving and traveling, I just never really got it together. I did think a lot about it, and maybe for December I will, but I got to get back in touch with Jan and Shelley. And again, I'm still feeling like this is a tricky time because I don't want to add anything, and my heart is with the 7 days of rest. So starting yesterday, I started to kind of just muse with it of like, well, would you want to do? And yeah, so, but thank you. Yeah,
I think that's something for all of us to consider, what to do for the 7 days of rest. You know, it's always good to have Good of the Whole be part of that. It was interesting this morning and how the conversation went around death and dying, and there's just been a lot around me, and yeah, you know, it's almost like there's no words except that I'm grateful that I've been doing my own inner work for such a long time that I can, you know, these are the moments that you want to be there for your family and your friends. And so I'm able to do that, because there was a time in my life when I was spinning out of control, and I had a few close friends, one who just recently passed away, who helped me through times that I, you know, needed it. So Julie, my heart's with you. It's not easy. And again, you know, we're just practicing surrendering. And it does make it easier. Doesn't change, but it changes you, changes me. So I'm kind of in that place, and just gently surrendering to what is. And yeah, kind of everything is a little on hold. It sort of feels that way starting in Thanksgiving, where, oh, it's vacation or it's holiday time and everything. It's like, it's not that active movement. And we're not doing really anything around here with the holidays. Nobody seems to be getting together. So yeah, I forgot what I was going to say elsewise. So not supposed to come up. So there's my somewhat of a check-in. I'm present and accounted for and surrendered.
Thank you. So I did my little my long check-in, and just appreciate that the whole idea of spaciousness, that everybody's sitting in this place of spaciousness where the last 2 weeks, every minute has been consumed. It's amazing how we've been on quarantine because of Jeff when we took him to the ER, Kevin took him to the ER, and then we were quarantined after that. And yet we were literally running back and forth to the hospital, taking things for the care provider. There was a full-time care provider in his room, and then we were signing forms and doing the POA stuff and doing the, just, so it was like this incredible time consuming bubble we were in. It was like this, it was like vast and huge and full and heavy. There was so much that had to be done on behalf of Jeff, conversations with doctors and social workers, and just like tons, just tons. So coming off of that, from right before that, saying, I don't want to be the endocrine system for anyone but myself. And then Linda reminded me yesterday, I hope you're taking care of yourself, because there hasn't been a lot of time for Julie to do Julie. And so, just being really aware of that, like, this is conscious choice to be here for Jeff. And yet, what do we need to do to take care of ourselves during this time? So, and me during this time. Me doing me. So I haven't had a lot of spaciousness and time for anything of reflection here, but the one thing that's super duper clear that was on my agenda 2 weeks ago that just got lost in this big bubble, besides 7 days of rest and the World Water Law that's coming, World Water Year that's coming up, is I wanted to apply for the Purpose Earth Fund, because that's the due December 4th. And so it's like, they want a project and they want measurements and they want that. So I had the connection field and I had the global transition team like side by side as projects of, if we were going to apply for $10,000, what would we put it to? And I've had that for several weeks now, and then just got back to it again today. And it feels like where I was 2 weeks ago when we talked, is that until we have that portal for our community to come in, and then literally the global transition team will fund things, feels like that's where the focus needs to be for me. Like, I really need to focus on getting that out and getting that and going for the Global Purpose Fund of $10,000.
Can I ask you a quick question about that?
Yeah.
So if you do that and get it on December 4th, like, we wouldn't have to be engaged with it until the beginning of the new year, right? Is that correct? Or
I don't know when they'll disperse it, but they just want to know, they want to know what the rollout time is and how you'll use the funds. And it's like, geez, website and the technology to do the education piece. And, we could do that real easily. So yeah, we wouldn't have to engage. I don't think we realistically would start the first, in my mind, let me back up. I don't think we'd be ready to start until the second quarter of 2021. Like, literally, the holidays are here and the website and the technology has to go. And then we have 3 months to enroll people if we get it done the first part of January. So when I think that, I also want to just mirror where we've been of going, oh, let's get the portal going so we can have this education. And when I think of I know Glenn's come up with Academy and Institute and different names. It's like, literally, the purpose, I'm thinking like Global Purpose Fund, the goal, the purpose, the drive is so coherent with our mission when we put it into the goal of creating leaders who can go out in the world and work toward conscious evolution during this global transition. Like, that's the goal to me. Like, let's train millions of people to go out and work in their communities and be leaders and understand wholeness and a whole worldview and whole systems health and have the tools and have everything they need. So to me, the education part, when I think of getting the platform going, I think, well, the global transition team platform and that education, that core is at the center of everything. And then like the mentoring stewards, whatever we choose to name them, which I do think we need a new name, and I do agree with the executive leadership change, is once we have that individual members and organizational members coming into the transition team, then we have the certified specialist. That level of education is all the education that's in that academy or in that institute, in that what we've been talking about is like the mentoring stewards offering their offerings and receiving their offerings as the benefits, and then all that education happens. But if we're not doing it to train providers, to go train specialists and mentoring stewards, whatever we call them, to literally be of service right now. And I was kind of laughing and chuckling this morning because here's Don Pett going, we need to synergize and move into, but the truth is we do, and everybody's like, no, just come into our hearts and we're it. When we're in our heart, and both of them are true. It's a both and thing, is really teaching, the global transition toward our heart and wholeness. It's like, the language that I've been using in the documents is that's what we're doing, is transforming the world through heart and wholeness. And so you got to learn how to be it. And then we got to create the organizational communications and systems and structures so that literally we can synergize and move forward on the planet toward a whole worldview and whole systems health. It's like it all goes together. So Don Pett is right, but it's not like, let's go do an anti-nuclear protest against, it's like, and it's the love piece is critical. So when we come around the corner, Don Pett's just going to smile so big, because I could totally see him being in the middle of this going, oh my gosh, look at this synergized action toward love beings on the planet who can transform the world through heart and wholeness, because he doesn't talk about the wholeness piece. So I feel ignited by that. When I think of what I can't do anymore, that is not enlivening me, is not tapping into my aliveness of administrative duties. And like right now, I got to cancel somebody's membership. There's a list of things coming in to support. There's things I got to do. And when I think about getting this going, and it's regenerative, and it's most of it is Cardinal just landed, sorry. Most the design of the program is not only perpetuating, it's like prolific growth can happen, but the people in the program begin running it. So it's not going to be like this. The expenses as the program grows are disproportionate to the number of people that can go through the program, because the number of people are then helping train and mentor and do their part. So once we get over that hump, I think we're going to see exponential growth and amazing resources, and then literally using the resources to support the self-directed, self-organizing projects and initiatives and what have you. Support all of us doing our work. So I see that with such clarity. And so I'm excited about that. It's like, if that's all I focus on, that in my mind will help us be regenerative as an organization and get other programs, other fun things going, and other staff and personnel on board. When I think about a fundraiser, I go, oh my God, who's going to do it? But thank you, Linda. Tomorrow is Giving Tuesday, and nonprofits are all going after money tomorrow on Giving Tuesday. And then now from the end of the year, we need to have something out facing so people know we're here. So we have that. But when I think about me doing it, I get really tired and fatigued and feel like a wet blanket is over my head. So we do need to talk about that. And I want to address that before you go, Linda. And then the only other thing I had on my agenda is the 7 days of rest and the World Water Year 2021 of like, okay, maybe we all take the next 6 weeks off and we ease into 2021 working on our individual pieces here. But yeah, we do have 7 days of rest, and I do want to, I feel like we need to create some kind of presence, and even if it's a simplified presence or it's the connection field focusing that week on 7 days of rest and radical healing. Is that what it is? Radical healing?
Yeah, and I mean, actually, I thought of, sorry, not to interrupt you,
Go ahead.
but onto what you're saying, like, I mean, maybe we just come back next Monday with having used like, what would we like to do? But the one thing I did come up with is we could use that resonance lounge from 12 to 1 every day as something that could be really easily with a focus on, that resonance, have a focus for the resonance lounge, and because it's already happening, and then just put it in there that people could, or from 12 to 2, we have the residence lounge, and on those, maybe the first hours, maybe there's a focus on water on the second hour or something. So that we're holding that frequency, we're giving people an experience, and it's easy for us. We don't have to add anything. Like, I'm feeling the same thing, like, just what would be easy to put in there that we already have. So, I mean, that could be done. Like, I could do that tomorrow, just go put in an application and say, 7 days of rest, and just just track into their theme. And the residence lounge hold that theme. And some, John, you've got your 12 to 1 easy, maybe I can do those other 2 days, or Linda can take one, I can take, whatever, the second hour, we can look at that. But that would be very powerful and easy and doable, and whatever else anyone wanted to do beyond that. But that would be, I mean, it's a done deal, right? If everyone agrees right now, we can just do it and just follow the thematic of, what did you say, radical healing?
Yeah.
7 days of rest and radical healing, right?
That starts January 1st.
Yeah.
It goes those 7 days. So it's over a weekend.
What does January 1st fall on this year?
Friday.
Friday. That's okay. I mean, I could start it out on January 1st. I could do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of those first 3 days. Do that 12 to 1. Although, wait, we would. I guess I gotta go just look at what time is Dawn, Pat, and
You're in the morning sometime.
let's double.
Ish. Late morning.
Late morning our time, Linda. Late morning.
Okay, so
Maybe.
okay, Friday is no issue because there's nothing happening. We can switch the connection field team, or they can have it, or whatever. Saturday from 12 to 1. Ooh, that's right in the middle of Raoul.
We could do the residence lounge in the morning on Saturday, Sunday, or find a time.
Hold on, someone's at my door. Residence, sorry, I gotta go. Someone's at my door. Be right back.
It sounds like Shelley has a dog or something.
Doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Or big rats.
Rat.
So thinking about things, did you get a chance to look at that grant ready checklist that the information we need when we apply for grants?
No.
Guys, this is, that, if you could do a share screen, I could put it up, but we're not ready to apply for grants.
Not big grants. Not
I
big,
don't know
big
about-
grants.
Yeah, I don't know how, I don't know when organizations step into wanting us to have all this information about grants, but it's a lot, and we don't have any of it that I can see much of.
You can share if you want to.
Okay, I'll just give you guys a quickie look at that. Yeah, here it is. Can you see this?
Yes.
So This is for mini grant writing proposals, all the things that they want. Let's just kind of look down that list. I mean, target population, current programs, number of people we served last year, full-time equivalents, tax documents, financial budgets, sources of funding, audited stuff, board of directors, org charts, strategic, you know, look at all this.
I think we have a lot of it. You'd be surprised. I think Julie has a lot of it.
Julie probably does, but Julie's, this isn't your heart's desire to
It's
fill
not
out-
my
figure
heart's
out all
desire.
this.
No, but we have it at our fingertips. A lot of it's already done on the computer.
There's a ton of work here putting this together. Just so you know,
Yeah, send that back out to us. I know I remember receiving it, but a lot of it is gathering the information and putting it together, but we do have a lot of it. You'd be surprised.
resumes, bios of key staff. I mean, measure
Yeah, we don't have,
outcomes,
we're 100%
previous
volunteer.
year. You know what? I mean, it's just, you know, we're not very far along in our world of nonprofit work.
Right.
But I'll send it to everybody if you'd like to see it. I'd like to have it. But
Thanks.
this is what,
Brian.
yeah. Anyway,
That's why, to me, in my mind, doing this one program that generates revenue, but gives back to the community, because all the revenue that comes in will administer the program, but as the program grows, we'll go back into supporting the individuals and the initiatives, the self-organizing. And so that way we will measure our impact. We can measure who's going through the program and what their, and I'll send you all
but
that
it's
again.
kinda
I'll send
like
it
we
to you.
need a startup business plan, you know, and we just, I mean, we've been just scattered around in all of the different activities and things that we've done, and we haven't had you know, any kind of a focused plan that leads to an outcome that we can measure or talk about that's organized in any, I guess the universe has it organized in its way. But it's pretty random, I think.
That's been my, yeah, that's how I've been feeling, is we've had the business plan and then it's like we have it, let's go. So I agree with you.
So what do you want us to do? Big
Is
question.
that a question to me?
If everyone, you know, what do we want us to do right now? Nothing. Okay.
No, I said, okay. I didn't
Oh.
say zero. I
Like
said,
nothing.
what
Literally nothing.
what do we want us to do? I liked that phrase because I like the what do we want us to do? That was an A-okay, like rephrase.
I
not
get it.
zero.
I was like, we want to do nothing. I'm okay with that too.
That's a really good question. I mean, it's like, you know, nonprofits operated, you know, I feel like we need to be operating as a business with things that generate, you know, results that are in line with our mission and cash flow to support that on an ongoing perpetual basis. And
So can I ask a quick question? Like, does this set, is our website, is there a Kajabi? Is there going to be anything that's changing with that? Or is that part of this conversation? It's like, there's so many pieces that we just need to activate.
Well, that's where I talked to you all 2 weeks ago, that if that's all I focused on was getting the Kajabi and the website done for the next 4 weeks, that would make a huge difference. But in my mind, not just to have a nice website, but for me, it's to get those programs up and going that are generating revenue that become regenerative. So to me, it's like the global transition team in my mind, and then, and whatever we would call the mentoring stewards as individual members of this, whether it's Good of the Whole or whether it's Global Transition Team or whether it's whatever, then the education falls into that as a benefit. So not just do it so we can have education, but if we're doing it for the purpose of moving the organization forward to be sustainable and regenerative, that's my goal. So that's what I would commit to over the next few weeks. If we took the time off and I wouldn't show up at anything, I don't know what we would do with, you know, a couple functions that have to happen, but, you know, we could take turns running the Wednesday call or doing whatever for the communities during December, or take the month off. But to me, I need the time and spaciousness to get the website and the Kajabi done, because the reality is we can't pay somebody to do it because I'll have to be holding their hand the whole way. So that's my goal. What else do we want us to do?
Well, let me throw this out because I'm pretty unclear. I have this vision, and I know applying for grants is a doggone good thing and getting a lot of money that way, but it sounds like we have the core of a training for global specialists, we just call it that. And what I would like to do is to train the trainers. I used to do that in other categories. Train the trainers, prepare them to go do that. However, how I used to do it was we would set the curriculum, and to get trained would cost someone X number of dollars, at which the end of it, they would be certified and be available then to take it out into the world and actually provide the trainings, at which time they would get paid for doing those trainings. So that reciprocity. And I think, I mean, we could look at what the cost of that would be for people, but people that are really, there are a lot of people out there looking for this because they're not gonna, this is, you know, people with good hearts, people that we want. What would we charge someone to get trained in order to become a trainer? And then really get our first jobs out there in the world and put people to work. And maybe me or / us or somebody, you know, begin with those new trainers in their early development and co-lead, and then turn it over to them. But that seems like a whole nice business in and of itself. Like, you know, we've called it maybe a university or whatever it might be, but it's like, you know, here it is, 21st century employment for the good of the whole.
So I have a lot of those details down of how this works, because how the training works is also, John, it's not like, yes, we need you and others to help. Bye, Linda. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Hi, everyone.
To literally mentor us through this, but most of it's going to be automated. So once we go through the first session with the first pod of 12 people, it's all built on pods of 12. Then what's going to happen is, well, within the first year, we all might have to do this, or at least the first quarter, that we're all working with pods of 12, or not all of us, but some of us, that, and it could be one person, it could just be me doing it until it gets going. But once it gets going, then those who are graduating, or those who are through their first quarter, become mentors, and they begin running calls, and they begin gathering, they begin practicing, they begin teaching, and then they move through, and I'll show you the different phases here. Well, let me just tell you the phases really quick. I want to share with you something. And I think I probably need to speak to this because every time I share things, I don't get the feedback or I don't know that you're getting it. And it's really hard to explain the math of this. But am I sharing screen? I just got out of it. Oh, here, that's why. Okay, so these modules, the first is this learning module where they go through the core competency and the curriculum. Then they move into a mentorship and practice module. So they're running some calls, they're practicing with each other. The 12 of them are working with the 12 of them and doing, there's a whole long list of it. Then they move into an apprenticeship teaching, leading, working module where literally they take on new students that come in. The curriculum's already done and automated through Kajabi with our leading experts in all the different pieces that they're learning that first quarter. So the first 12 people are now into their apprenticeship teaching, leading phase of the module. And they take on a group of 12 and move them through that 12 weeks. And then they become ambassadors, community service, and work on their other stuff. So I just want to show you one more thing, which is this. I just made it big while we were talking, is you're right. So 144 specialists, if our goal for the first year was to do 12 pods of 12, and we charge $6,000 for a pod, or for $6,000 for a person to become certified throughout that year. So 144 becomes $864,000. Now imagine, this is the best case scenario I'm just going to share with you. Maybe it's not the best case scenario, maybe it's not. But this thing becomes prolific if everyone just replaces themselves. You know, just refer one person into the program. That's all you have to do. If 144 people refer one person in to the program, then we begin to multiply. And if you think about, like, literally a group of 12 times 12 becomes 1,728, which then again is 10 million. So just look at the numbers of what happens as we grow. If we can get, which would be really cool, we could get up to 3 million specialists in 5 years if we grow by 12. But even if we just stay at like 250,000 specialists, will generate $1.4 billion. So my point isn't so that we all make a bunch of money and we have that in there, but then that fund comes in, like the toroidal field, which the organism feeds that feeds itself. So the organism feeds life that gives it life. And so literally with the toroidal field, as we begin training these specialists, then they're going out in the world and have programs like, say, Ohana Legacy Foundation. And then Ohana can apply for a grant through those funds that are there. And we support a startup of a really cool initiative that literally follows some of our basic concepts. And again, it goes back to those principles that we shared, which if I go back up and just read them to you, you guys will go, yeah, of course. Which those principles are, I'll just have to share this document with you again, but the basic principles, of course, those, you know, wholeness, resonance, coherence are 3 basic principles. And then again, that I used to call the Trinity of Wholeness. I took that inherent wholeness that's in the middle and the conscious evolution that's around the edge of it. So we have inherent wholeness, good of the whole systems health, whole world view, and conscious evolution. It's like that's the core. That's all we're teaching. That's all we're promoting. We're not going out and saying, oh yeah, we want to learn about this, we want to learn about that. It's like we keep it really succinct and tight, and we know what we're teaching, and then they go out, just like you're saying, and then they go out and use that to, maybe I'm in education or healthcare or whatever. So I'll be quiet. Yes.
Okay, I want to role play just for 1 second. So Dr. Krull, I really am interested in your program, and you're saying it's going to cost me what, $6,000, $8,000? How much would it cost to go through this program?
It would cost you $6,000. Yes.
$6,000. So this is I feel this is my life work, and this is what I want to do. At the end of this program, after I pay the $6,000 and I am a graduate, what are my job possibilities? Where can I earn income by doing this?
And so that, I hate role playing, so I'm going to answer your question.
I know, I was just throwing it out.
I
I'm sorry,
hate
you don't have to
role
role play.
playing. I did it in college. I did it in graduate school. Role playing. But literally there'll be a definition of how potentially what they could do as a certified global transition specialist. And they designate the sector of what they want to work on, but we give them examples of being a consultant, being a teacher, being whatever. But literally then the goal being that they really understand the components of a superorganism, where they're going to come in and they're going to be self-organizing and working together and creating more value by working with this entire team. So it's not just I could be a consultant, go out and work in corporations, or I could be a teacher and go teach this stuff, but literally you have this entire network that begins to work together and synergize, and they're a part of a network of network. And so literally going back to those pieces that Glenn talks about that are on our website is that we're training and supporting, we're supporting and uplifting, and we're amplifying the work, and it really becomes amplified. So a big part of the training is marketing, publicity, public relations, media training. There's that part of the training that you wouldn't even think about, but that will be a part of what they're doing. Is how do we get the work out there? How do we synergize? How do we work together?
So for me, I just want to bring it down home, which is that basically they can do anything. They can go into a community and do any kind of community, wherever their passion is. They can take all those skills to and through the program, they're going to tap into their particular unique evolutionary purpose. So no two people are going to be the same, and they're already going to have their track, so to speak. But what I'm hearing, and I think this needs to be made very clear, it's not one person training the trainers like you were talking about, John. It's like whoever's teaching the resonance piece, Jude Caravan's coming in. And that's the thing that really needs to be clarified, because how are we making money inside of Good of the Whole? Because let's just say I make 3, or we make 10 resonance videos, and people are going through the modules, and then there's live group experiences, right? Obviously. And so it's we're all part of the whole. It's not one train the trainers. There might be, in order to do that, we have to go through the whole thing first. We do, because we each have our gifts, but you can't teach multimedia, or I can't teach certain things that Julie can teach or Glenn can teach. So it's a vital whole, really. And I don't see it as one person's training the trainers. I
don't either. Not at all.
But I think it's really important to understand that, because then it comes back the question, how are we making money? Because we know that none of us anymore, or I don't anymore, want to give away my time the way I have been giving away, or Julie doesn't want to either. So this is a really important piece. And ultimately, to me, before that is we have to have it administrative. We have to do the fundraising, because you cannot do any of this. Julie can do the Kajabi, or I can come in and help some with a Kajabi. The videos have to be made, but there has to be an administrative director. There is no way that this, otherwise it's exactly what Glenn is saying. It just feels like it's scattered. It's kind of like, just these pieces. We're all doing our little pieces, but it's not an activated whole. And I can feel that in myself. Like when I'm kind of getting like a little more activated, but right before this, I was like, just feeling kind of worn out and just wanting to take the month off, and I think we still should do that, looking at what our pieces are to actually create the Kajabi piece. So Julie does the Kajabi, I work on, for part of my month, I work on the resonance pieces. Where are those documents? You can't do anything. You can't even talk about any of this until we have, and I know Julie has a lot of those documents for herself, or Jude Caravan has her piece. But I just think that we're still back at square zero, which is, do we need to take the month off, get the website ready, get Kajabi ready, and actually plan? And I don't have the answers because I'm not a fundraiser, so that's really tricky. But if we don't get the money for an administrative director, so Andrea came in, she did what she did, whatever that was, and got things kind of activated and rolling. But we have to have, you know, to me, I go $10,000 to the woman, to the person who for the administrative director, because we can't do anything without it. And I see the community up, you know, leveling up a little bit, but our community does not have the money to pay for that global transition team. They want to play, but they don't have the money. So, yeah.
So imagine 144 people, if that was our goal, that we're going to train 144 people in a year. And that's the only thing that we do. I mean, it doesn't grow exponentially. It's just 144 every year. If it's just that, we take 12 pods every year, which the potential and what I was shown when the whole package came in, it was literally showing how it's going to grow and proliferate to be a concrete solution on the planet. Because I'm not just doing this for fun. I don't want to do it for fun. It's not fun. But you're right. So to get an administrative director, so just 144 people, just 144 is 864,000. Can we afford to have an administrative assistant or a managing director for that? Yes. That can run Good of the Whole? Yes. And that can begin to run the pieces. And then we're not all getting paid. We don't have to be paid full-time wages. We get paid for what we do. So if Shelley comes in to do the resonance piece, then she's getting paid for the resonance module, or however that works. We will get paid for the initial piece. And then after the first one, our live training pieces are done. And then we could continue to mentor and move people through, and we can continue to develop other pieces. So to me, it's
I'll throw in a couple more pieces to this puzzle, and it's like, so if we have a set of $6,000 tuition payment, basically, there's a number of other elements that need to be here. One, I don't know how many people in our current community could afford to pay $6,000. But beyond that, it's like, who are the faculty? What are their qualifications to be teaching this? What's their competency level? Have they demonstrated that they can make money doing this kind of thing? I mean, you know, it's like when we're all bombarded all the time with, at least I am, with courses and classes and events.
That was the other thing I was thinking about. Absolutely.
People want us to take, you know, and putting butts in chairs is a huge budget thing with Tony Robbins. He spends, you know, with affiliate fees and money. I mean, he spends a ton of money getting people to show up at his events. And the other folks, everybody does that. And I've been on the inside of all the money and youth programs and the promoters of those programs. Even with Mr. Fuller in the room, they had to get people to, you know, give people deals to come and pay. And I mean, getting people to pay the tuition freight or showing up in the classroom when you've got demonstrated curriculum in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of graduates and programs is an ongoing challenge to basically sell. You know, colleges are recruiting students in high school to come to their college and spend money, and there's a competition out there. It's really strong for transformation and change and personal growth. This is a whole multi-billion-dollar industry that we're entering into, and we have to prepare ourselves to compete in that industry and know that we're entering in a competitive world of personal growth and development. And then of that $6,000 tuition, our faculty is going to want to get paid. There's going to be money spent on, again, back to how that's broken up. It's broken up.
We can't hear you, Glenn.
Lost you there, Glenn.
We haven't accounted for. Oh, there's going to be a kind of cost that we haven't for that we need to talk about, or mechanism to get costs identified and categorized and budgeted together. It's just it's a lot of work. That's all. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of work to really get the business side of this together. Not something we are going to do casually in a month or two, especially when we're throwing out a 7 days of rest, thinking shifts everything, just.
And I have a question too to ask. It's hard to hear you, Glennie.
Yeah, your internet's really not good, Glenn.
It's breaking up.
Yep.
The other thing, I guess I hope this is kind of a little bit of a wrench, but I don't want it to be like an emotional wrench, but I kind of feel like something in me is wondering about a training, like coming back to like having the focus be a training machine. And not that I'm against it, or not that I understand like what you're sharing, Julie, and I understand the gift of good of the whole. And people like, this is a really big question to put out, which is people can, I mean, everyone, even Jude's doing her own thing. And, you've got all these, you've got all these different training modules, like Glenn is saying. And the gift that we offer is something that I haven't seen exist. And I think I think easily 30 people would jump in if the money wasn't an issue to get this thing rolling in the beginning. And I want to be educated fully more in a whole world view. So I'm watching Jude's videos. I'm I'm developing myself without paying $6,000. Now, mind you, there are certain things that I can go and would like to go pay 1,000 or 2,000 for additional pieces that I don't have. So I just think it has to be really, I think we have all the pieces, and I guess my question is, are we just a training machine? Are we just a global transition specialist, creating global transition specialists? And I think it's a really valid question. Not that it's, I think it's really valid. Like, well, that's really great, but I can go over here and I can go to Jude and I can do a 3-month course over here. I can do a 2-month, and I can have most of those pieces, maybe except for the deeper resonance kind of pieces. So I'm just wondering, for me, it's an important question, because is that really all good of the whole is, or is that good of the whole? Is that the super organism? And you're bringing in all these people, but let me just finish one more thing. Cause like I watch Humanities Team, and everyone's bringing in the same friggin' people. If you watch, there's a big class with, someone in the Humanities Team. And so I'm going to get the same thing I'm getting in Good of the Whole. I'm just saying this, I'm making this up. Then I'm going to go, who's to say, why should I not go to Humanities Team and pay for that? This is a really big question, because everyone's using the same people as the luminaries. So, and in fact, Jude Carvan, I just watched this amazing thing with someone, she's working with Terry Patton. I can go to Terry Patton, go pay $2,000. And it's just not called a global transition specialist. So I need help. I'm your average person. I'm kind of doing a little bit of what John was doing, because like, is this all really good of the whole is? And when I feel into the connection field, that adds a whole element, except then I take that and I go like, look what Unity Earth did. They've got all these people that would have been involved with Good of the Whole that are now involved with Conversation Cafe, which they think is the same thing as the connection field. So these questions are kind of important, and I don't mean to be
let me respond and try to respond, because I don't see it as a training machine at all. And if that's what we are, I really don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to have an Ubiquity University. We don't need to do that. We can, like, literally they could do our education. I don't want to be a humanities team. I don't want to be a part of that. The difference is that this isn't just training. There's some core pieces of the mindset, the skill set, and the worldview that have to shift. So you get that core piece, and then the rest of the program is the practice and the function of it. So that literally then you become the mentor, you become the teacher, you become the facilitator, you become the coach. Like you're literally practicing, not just as I'm in a coaching program, but in a world changing conscious evolution way. So the training is a very small part of it. And then think of it like the Peace Corps, because this is an evolutionary core toward a whole world view, toward conscious evolution, toward whole systems health and healing. So literally, then the people going through this program are literally on the ground, on the planet, working in communities, like you say, working in a hospital, working in a school, working in a university. They're in the community, but they're networked already through the Global Transition Team. So they're already networked. They're learning about self-directed, self-organized, new ways of working together. This is already held in a trans-organizational way. So it's not just Good of the Whole, but Good of the Whole is working with Together in Creation. And we have the Codes for a Healthy Earth and Whole World View. And we have Jude's support and Ben Bowler, who might do who knows, the Evolutionary Expo for us. But literally that it's not training, it's developing the new human.
And I just realized something, like all of a sudden I got really clear about my piece, which I hadn't really ever felt, which is I'm like, my voice has to do with the weaving of indigenous wisdom into this global transition team, because you cannot have a global transition team if you are not involving that hoop of wholeness, let's just call it. It just all of a sudden it was like, oh, right, this is where I feel that that has to be part of it. And I haven't quite seen that part of it in there, but I don't know, like that, to me, that is a really important piece in that whole world view, because they've been holding the whole world view, and it's an honoring and, really weaving the application of the relationship between the indigenous native wisdom with evolutionary consciousness, because it is evolutionary consciousness evolving itself. So that's just a big, all of a sudden I just went, oh, wait, is that piece in there? So anyway, so thank you. It was good. I just needed that clearinghouse again. Just like, okay, all right, am I in? I'm in, so it seems to me it's just like laying it out, like, and it's really sticky because that administrative director is like the linchpin. It is the linchpin, but in the meantime, we can lay out what it looks like from January, and just let December, like, what are those pieces that we need, that we're gonna need in place for January and February and March and April, and get it more organized. Anyway,
John, does that make it different in your mind? Glenn, does that shift the?
Well, here's the shift for me. And that is, still don't see our product, okay? And I know this might be old school, but hear me out just for a minute. When I developed this program, the name of my company was Human Dynamics Incorporated. We put a program together for businesses, governments, and so forth and so on. I went and sold this as an overall package. What am I selling? I went to businesses that were interested in coming out of an unsustainable structure into something sustainable from the human element. And therefore, we provided, at that time, 6 counseling sessions per employee. We would do middle management trainings. We would do all these pieces that were, the rubber hits the road right now, folks. We're coming in and we're providing this program. Here's our format. This is what makes us different than anybody else. We are good of the whole consultants to bring you in to the new evolutionary stage of doing business, of interacting with each other within your organizations. And we're going to provide this program. This program is going to cost you $50,000. And we have right now 5 people in these different sections that will be coming in offering these programs for your employees. And we will do follow-up and so forth and so on. I guess what I'm saying here is that I'm not interested in just training people to go out in the world and go, you know, that's what universities do. Good luck. Here's your degree. I want to go into and search out and not convince, but bring a product to a business or a government or a social group that is ready for this evolutionary step and provide them with the program.
So what if the global transition team becomes a part of a speakers bureau and
Yes.
a consultant team?
Yes.
And because here's the product that we're selling is you're going to go out. Let me just share again, Irvin Laszlo's quote. We are launched on a process of profound change, a total range global transformation. The crisis we've been experiencing is driving us to change, whether we wish it or not. Our choice is not whether, but how to change. Now imagine taking that one phrase, John, into corporations, into healthcare organizations, into corporations, into educational, like that's what we're taking in is everything's changing now. You could learn a new way that will be sustainable on the planet from this way forward, or you continue doing what you're doing. So
Exactly.
the graduates become part of a speakers bureau, or they're learning how to write and publish books. They're learning how to do media. They're learning how to go into organizations and consult and train. And so that, you know, yes, I might have just a community program where I want to do a composting toilets in every school, but I also might want to go into corporations and be that consultant. And so those are side businesses that could even be for-profit businesses that maybe John Brockett heads up after the global transition team's already going. Is all of a sudden we have not just a consultant team, but you know, a for-profit arm that's conscious evolution or whatever we're going to call that, or how to live for the good of the whole, or how to transform for the good of the whole. It's like change is happening. So our product is, here are the solutions. And if you don't have these basic things, which are a part of the core curriculum, not a ton of fluff here, just the core curriculum, then you can take that in and help organizations change consciously.
And
Helping change consciously.
here's what I'm saying is that before we can make that declaration, I think it needs to be beta tested. And therefore, I would like to find, and I don't think it'd be that hard to do, even a small business. And let's take our program and let's run it through. And I think we need some successes, or at least one success to say that what we're doing here has validity.
But don't we have to do a beta test within the community first? Isn't that what comes next?
What community?
I don't know that our community is this.
I agree.
I don't know that that's it. I think the community's coming in at one level, but I think that this level and this kind of, I think John and I said this, I don't know if we were on a group of 5 of us at one point, or if it was just John and I talking, that these people have resources. They are change agents. They're ready and motivated. They just need the skills to come in and help everything transform.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then, okay, so that's cool. That helps me. So what I'm hearing is, okay, January and February or January, we work on the literal beta teachers curriculum design. So that by, let's say, March, we could do the beta, maybe February, I don't know, but at least by March, we could do the first beta global transition specialist team run through. And of course you can have scholarship people come in or whatever, but you know, that whether it's a business or whether it's, we just open it up to saying we're going to take 12 people to start with, and believe me, 12 people, I'm sure, I know Grace would probably jump in a second, you know, Michelle would jump in a second. I mean, we have people that would, Sharon Chardy would probably jump in a second, and people, and maybe it's not 6,000 for the beta test, maybe it's just 1,000, you know, for that beta test, and just do that. Like, come up with it. Like,
I think it's great.
It makes sense. Like, I'll show up for that. I'll meet for that. I think what Glenn was bringing up, which is really good, that kind of got this all going, which is like, this is just too scattered. Give us one thing that we can all participate in that's going to actually create momentum and bring us closer to what, you know, we want, you know, to affect. I mean, it would be fun. I mean, it would be amazing.
Shelley, if we would do that, and the people, even those 12 and us, word of mouth would catch like fire. People would say, I want to be part of that.
Yeah, well, maybe.
I just trust that. If it's good, if it's a good program.
Well, we know it's going to be a good program because we already know that. That's not even the issue. We have the people. We have the curriculum. We have, you know, I mean, any one of us can teach our parts, you know.
I mean, I could see us going into Google and doing this. I swear to God, at some point.
Okay. So so let's just jump. Like, are we in agreement that we want to take December, you know, maybe meet next week or or take December off, figure out a time where we're meeting for like 2 or 3 hours. You know, this is what's been working for me, by the way. We've been doing these mini retreats that are like so fantastic, like 4 hours, at least 4 hours with a break in between. And you get so much done rather than this hour, or 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. No, it actually works because you actually get something done. Why are you laughing? Don't
I was just laughing at the way you said that.
But, you know, maybe we pick one day just so that we stay connected in December, where we, you know, and each do our piece. You know, let's take a look at next Monday or something. Let's take a look at what's each one of us our piece for the next 3 weeks. Julie, we know, is Kajabi and whatever. And then
I like that idea. I think it's good. I'll take a
my
piece.
piece is my piece, or, whatever the residence piece, you know, whatever is needed that we need to create. Like, how do you see it, Julie? Do you see like each section is like a month? Do you see it as a 12-month course? Do you see it as, or is it just
12-month program with 12 weeks of learning, and then the 12 weeks of the mentoring, and then the 12 weeks of the apprenticeship teaching, and then 12 weeks of, so literally they're moving through those stages and practicing with each other. Without it, with just a beta test, it will be hard to practice the mentoring because we won't have new groups coming in. So we'd have to figure that out. I mean, the mentoring part, they'll mentor each other and run groups and, you know, practice things. But then once you get to the teaching, they won't be able to get to that teaching place until we start the program and new students are coming in.
Yeah, but okay, can I ask you something? You think 12 weeks is enough to create someone who, I guess it is 12 weeks. So it's like
they don't stop practicing things. It's really a year-long immersion program, really, because you're in all of it.
Like 6 months and not make it a year for the beta test. I don't know.
Yeah, because the beta test, they might not be able to do the teaching modules with the new students in.
Yeah, we're just gonna do the
But they
first.
could do the mentoring part, and then we could say, how was that? And now imagine the new students are coming in, and they could be our first people that take the first students and move the first students through.
So let me ask you this, Jules, because I'm a little confused with that. That is a training program. Let's just say we went into the City of Boulder Public Works. They have 60 people in there, and we want to do our program with them to bring them into this new way of sustainability of human evolution, however we want to name that. That's what, when I talk beta test, that would be, if we were to pop in and give them our program, could we do that and say, we can run you through this in a month? Or how, I don't understand. And when you say 12 weeks, is that 1 hour a day for 12 weeks?
Yeah,
Is
they're two different products, John. So
I
if
know.
the products, it's like the 12 weeks is for an individual coming in to be certified as a specialist, because they're practicing and they're working, they're mentoring, they're teaching, they're apprenticing. But to go into Boulder County, then literally what we do is pare down the basic education piece so that it's very succinct. And we would create how many weeks and how much time would they give us. So if we say we want 2 hours a week for the next 6 weeks with all of your employees, then we prioritize that core curriculum and create practices around it for them.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of, they're not getting the whole shebang, the whole enchilada, the whole shebang. They're getting an abbreviated piece. And that's a different product. Taking it into an organization and giving it to everybody. It's kind of like when you did the consulting work, I've done that consulting work, and you go in and, with mine, it would be once a month when the church council would meet or whatever. You adapt to their leadership. But we could definitely create that product, which we could do at the same time. It's like, boom, get going, lead.
I mean, here's what really worked for me is that I would give the educational training for the employees. And then I would be on retainer for a year, whether they used the program or not. I would be available for consultation for that full year. And this was back a long time ago. So I think I charged 20 grand, I think, for a year consultation. But up front for the initial development, I charged a separate fee. And then I would be in constant contact with them if they chose, which I would always for a year. And so that I had employment basically and took care of my little company that I'm working with for a full year. And I had good results because of that.
And every industry needs this right now.
I know.
Every industry. And so even like just with insurance with my husband, and he tells me this every day, is like, just stop doing good to the whole and go do this, Jules. Like he'll tell me that, because literally like every insurance company, every insurance agency, like the providers, all the healthcare work, everyone needs this transition because we're making a global transition. So that in itself could be a for-profit piece that's huge.
Totally.
And the nonprofit piece is how do we think of the evolutionary core like the Peace Corps, like they're literally going out and doing work on the planet. And then we're supporting that. So we're putting them out where we need to go, like the Peace Corps. That's the other part of the global transition specialist, is they're out there, we're tracking, we're monitoring, we're helping, we're supporting, we're amplifying their good works. So we have that nonprofit piece and we have this for-profit piece. And what you're talking about, John, yes. And it's bridging the old and the new. It's bridging from where you were to where we're going. It's the same model. And you're right. Like you pay for the year of support, whether you use it or not. We could definitely do that for 2021 in a heartbeat.
I agree.
What we wanted to do is scale that down and have that be a for-profit arm. So as we're talking about all this, I can't wait to hear what Glenn is thinking, because he's on a thing back there and he's going to build these mega villages, and we're going to take all this content and live inside the mega villages. But meta
There
village.
you go. Can you hear me a little better if I get up like this?
Yeah.
You're good now.
So I don't know where I want to start with this. I mean, you basically, there's a lot of answers to that question that has come our way. So every program has a list of so that what, so that this can happen, people can do this. What the so that answers when a training director in a corporation brings in a program, they got first of all, got a lot of people selling them programs trying to, and we got to have very clear distinctions and language this in a way, and know that there are companies that are not interested in our so that's, and there are some that are interested in our so that's. And then there are going to be those companies that are going to say, well, can you adjust it this way? Can you make it a custom program that way? Can we do da-da-da? And I mean, I had a company from 79 to 89 or sometime along that way called Instructional Communications. And we built training programs for AT&T. We built the instrument training program for a mechanic, for maintenance people for the DC-10 aircraft. We built, instructional training stuff. And we worked with subject matter experts to build and create those training programs, computer-based training programs and online delivery and that sort of thing. And the development cost for those programs for every hour of student contact time was about 300 to 400 hours of design time. And then I had a ropes course program up in Estes Park where we would, have people come in and do team building things. And there was a team of us that facilitated groups, thousands of people going through training programs, going through their company's training programs. But a part of it would be, let's go to the woods and build camaraderie and work together and experience all that experiential education stuff. All those games on the low elements and high elements and scary things and competitive things. And at a casino on Standing Rock, we was part of, there were 12 of us that lived at Standing Rock for 8 weeks. We had 300 employees that their first day at work was in our classroom. And we had them for, for weeks. Developing culture of how do we be in customer service when we've never held a job before in our life. And let's say this is an all-consuming lots and lots of work. And then you want to stay and say, well, we're on call for the next year. You're on call with one client for what they need, but at the same time, you're delivering a program for one or two other clients simultaneously. And so I'm saying, this to think about it as this is a career choice. I mean, this is what a lot of people do for their whole life's work. And there are professionals that their expertise is in the instructional technology of it, the actual designing of the curriculum, the learning objectives, the outline of the program, and making sure that everybody's delivering the same kind of content in a consistent way across different classrooms or different locations. That was Marion's work. I mean, that's her master's work, is in instructional technology. And, she was a training director at the U.S. Senate for 9 years, with a staff of 40 people, designing classes and programs for senators and their staffs. Now, the content's unique And we've got to, if we take this on, then the content definition is what distinguishes us from the rest of the planet. And so looking at how we do that and how we language it and how we market it, I mean, it takes marketing skills too. And we have the marketing teams in this. I'm just saying this is a lot of work. I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, now my part of it's going to be to, support you guys, because if I'm going to build hundreds or thousands of homes, I don't have any bandwidth for jumping into doing the content of what you're talking about. Going to need a lot more than, there's going to be, this is an octopus. It's going to train us. We're going to learn from the octopus as our teacher, and this is going to have a lot of tentacles to it. And so just pointing that out and feeding that octopus and putting this animal together that needs care and loving and widgets in the website, and the website that speaks clarity to the planet is really important. So, but to getting our website together and having the clarity in our website that describes all of this. And is this what we would choose to have good of the whole evolve into, or at least this expression of good of the whole? And are there other expressions that come and go on? This is all consuming. So to recognize that there's a genie coming out of the bottle, and we're going to rub that bottle a little more and have that genie come out and go down this track. It's pretty interesting and but consuming too.
No.
Just to have a consciousness of that. That's all. So I think I'm complete for now.
So it sounds like developing a prototype that is manageable. And like Julie, you were saying, if we're going to train 144 people, that would cover a lot of tentacles. But none of that's going to happen overnight.
Well, the other thing is how many people of those, 144 really will, there's only a percentage that end up doing, kind of repeating this, like even bringing in one person, you're probably going to have 50 maybe of those people that are going to bring in one person. I mean, reality, like this is what, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because it's like, yeah, do I want to be all consumed to the next 10 years? I don't know,
No.
And with that, I don't know. I actually don't know. But because it's everyone plays their part, it's not like, if everyone is really playing their part, it's not that all consuming for each one person. It's a moving wheel. But also the reality of, 144 people, that you're probably going to have 30 people that are so excited about good of the whole, they want to be part of it, and they want to grow with it, and they want to continue in the next level of it, and they want to help promote. I mean, that's part of the reality, that's, and that's not to bring it down, but it's true. I mean, I know I put on trainings for 20 years, 25 years. And I know, I understand what those, and the beauty of it's like all you have to do is go back to the last retreat and to watch those people's experience. It's the retreats. See, this is where you got to look at it too, because to me, it's really the retreats that make the difference. That's where the embodiment. I mean, I know you can do it in different courses and modules, but it's really in that a super contact with each other and the retreats that really deepen the bonding and deepen that experience. And I don't know, I'm still seeing it, I see it in the things that I'm doing that are the 1 hour here, you just do these things 1 hour, you have a certain experience. But when you sit for 5 hours with a group of people, it's a whole, and you take that break, I mean, by the end, yeah, you may be tired, but hell, you have a relationship with those people and a relationship with what you're learning. So I think this is really important. I mean, for me, this is like, I think this is why it hasn't really been moving, because we haven't really, and I know Julie, you have, I'm not saying that you haven't, but I think as a whole, we haven't really gone in this like really, you know, maybe this is actually why. What if three of us don't really want to be all that consumed? We want to play, but maybe we don't want to be. Maybe I don't want to be in this realm, you know, because I can go out and I can go help. I mean, I can do all kinds of stuff if I can localize. But you know, so I think this is a really good to muse with this, you know, and what is the next step. But I like where we're going, and I like with, you know, like focusing on, you know, the pieces that are important, each one of ours in December, and then January, like let's start to put that program together. Let's create it, you know, and maybe it's just that first quadrant of it. Maybe it's not the whole shebang at this point, but just get the momentum and get, because I'll tell you, I think we're going to start to lose people if we don't. That's actually what I'm watching. People love coming into the connection field, but they are needing something more, you know, like it's not enough to have the fire here. And, you know, like I've already pulled out the Earth Heart resonance, the radical Earth Heart resonance. I don't feel like I want to wait until I see what I want to do. You know, I think people are happy with certain things, but they're few and far between right now. And I don't say that as to upset the apple cart, but it's true. People are, we need to give them the next thing, or we're going to, you know, it'll disperse in some way, because the mentoring stewards isn't giving them really enough.
Yes. So one other thing came up as you were talking, and it's the question is, how many people that we currently have that are in our whole community would you feel like would go through our program, and you would send them out? They would go out and go into a client and be on their own. So the variation, what I'm getting at is as we expand the numbers and they're going out and doing this teaching that they're doing, the variation, managing the variation of people's personalities and egos and desires and other agendas becomes enormous.
Yeah, well, I can speak for what the trainings that I've done, and John can speak for it. I mean, so my experience is, let's just say I teach 30 people. Of those 30 people, there are going to be maybe 5 that stay true to the teaching that I teach. The other ones are taking it and they're so inspired, and they're going to develop their own programs, or they're doing it just a little bit differently. And it is, you know, I've watched myself with these people and going like, oh, you know, are they representing me? Are they not representing me? But they love what they're doing. So in my reality, I let go, because I don't want to like hold them to that certification, and they need to be recertified, you know, like for good, you know, so it's a very tricky thing. So I think it's a small percentage that actually stay specific to the program. And now, because of the way the world is, there's so much, I'm a Reiki master, I'm a this, I'm a that, and they add your piece to their program. And really, I remember when I first did the training I did, we were specifically asked, look, let go of everything else that you're doing while you're doing this. Then whatever you want to do it. But still, even and those were hundreds. And there were only maybe 10 or 15 that were specifically staying with that particular program. No, they were taking it, they were referencing that program, but they were out there inspired to do their own thing. So, I mean, I think all of this is important information, I guess.
I like what Julie said, and that is, you know, there are a number of different programs that can come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just as you were talking and you said, well, there's so much out there, Reiki and everything else. you know, we're still talking about a pretty small segment of the overall population that has this consciousness already. And it seems to me, you know, like when I went in and worked with businesses, their whole thing was, I put it under the guise of employee assistance program. And that is, how do we, our term, how do we go into a small business and have them work together as a whole world view? Because they're still very segmented. They're still very me oriented. They're still very, so-and-so's effing with me and I can't do my job. And there's plenty of programs that can deal with that.
Right.
I don't know if there's any really that would take this whole world view and resonance and as we're bringing it about and say, how about, you know, dealing with people that aren't Reiki people, that aren't, you know, it's those people that I think could really be helped by even one module.
So that's what I think people will do, actually. I love what you're saying, because actually people are going to take the program and they're going to go into their connections and their communities, and they're going to take it. And that is exquisite, really, without, you know, and without the expectation of, I mean, there will be percentages of people who go, wow, I want to learn what you're doing. That's amazing. Look what you just did for my company, you know? And I think that's really, to me, would be the goal of next year, is to get enough people that are, you know, have had the experience, that are willing to, that are excited and want to go into, like, I can call my brother, I can call my, you know, just begin to get the verifications and the testimonials that look what this did. Oh my God, go to the whole global transition specialist just went into, you know, the community, you know, this, you know, the community youth program, and they just worked with the youth, and now these youth are, you know, I mean, I think that's really what we're doing. It feels like that to me. I agree. Like, for me, that feels more home to my heart, that, you know, yeah, you know, that it comes about in that way, and it feels more organic that way. But it is everything you're talking about, Julie. We're just,
Well, I know. And what if, you know, what if we could give the whole thing away for free? Like, go through every module and it's given away for free. What is the ultimate legacy of good of the whole?
I just had this conversation.
That's great.
So that we're doing this, so that this, so that this, so that this. What is the ultimate legacy of this organization? Because, you know, listening to Glenn, it's like, I want to stop and run the other way because I don't want to be responsible for that. And the model could be really self-sustaining, and it would be a program, and it'd be mostly automated, and it would need some management. But I want to go write books and get on stage and speak and teach. And I don't want, Glenn, are you talking to us or are you talking to someone else? He's on mute.
He's on mute and he's talking away.
Okay, I don't know. I think he must be talking to Marion.
I just have to preface this.
Okay.
I have to get off in like 7 or 8 minutes, because I'm running, it's on my Zoom, the fire thing.
Okay, so, but let's ask that, because I don't want to go and spend my December working on Kajabi if this isn't the true legacy. What is the legacy of good of the whole, and how are we holding that vision and that mission, and how is it expressed in the world? To me, creating leaders and working through the global transition is one thing, but it could be a very small program that we're offering, or one class, or it could be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be this huge commitment. So what is that legacy, and what is the future calling us forward to as an organization? And that's the ultimate question, because any one of us can create this program. We could create a for-profit program like this. We could create the trans-organizational program with it and have everybody's doing their part. You know, all these different organizations are doing their part holding the global transition team. But how do we contribute to becoming a species that is a true superorganism on the planet that's moving toward conscious evolution.
Well,
That's mine.
I like that.
I think it's a great question. It's really funny. It just came up all this early this morning. Just like I was just talking all about legacy and you know, it's so interesting because number one, I think transforming the world through heart and wholeness is a beautiful line. And to me, it's like we're going to come in and we're going to show you how by aligning with the impulse of evolution, or that's just for the language right now, but how by your company or your community organization, by learning about conscious evolution and learning how to hold resonance within your management team, can bring about something that you can't imagine, can bring about solutions for your company, can bring about, because you're holding the whole instead of working from separate parts. I mean, it's almost as simple as that, to be able to come in and the trick is that they're focused on making money. Most organizations, let's just say, they're focused on making money. So we're going to have to build to show that by coming in and transforming your organization with understanding the heart and wholeness is going to change the way people work for you. It's going to change their enthusiasm, their ability to listen to an emergent voice that isn't just theirs or isn't just their partners, but when you come together, that together something, it's like, to me, it's like that. And maybe those, organizations in the beginning are, they're not all these huge, big organizations, or maybe they are because of who you're connected to. But if we have the right ingredients for this amazing cake, so to speak, that rises them up, because we know it's not about us. And if so that transition team, or whoever you want to call it, it's not about us. It's about who we are as a whole, and this emergent consciousness that knows itself better than we, and it knows how to get us where we need to be. Just the way Glenn has developed, the Ohana legacy, because he trusts the field. He listens. The people, you become the attractor field. So to me, that is the legacy of good of the whole. That feels incredible to me, So it is a shift from just this global transition team leadership, although that would obviously be where people are going to go, like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to know more about your organization. How do I come in and play more? Here, come be a part of this. Here's this leadership program. But I don't know if that made any sense, but
Yeah, it makes great sense. And the reason Glenn has been successful is because he's dealing with a very distinct product.
Mhm.
Okay. And so we can have all the love and devotion in the world, but especially when you're going into companies or organizations that need to have results, and they have usually a product, whatever that might be, that we attach it directly to, I mean, Glenn, what you've done and organized and built this organization, it's around a very specific, incredible product.
So do you remember when sports just had sports and they didn't have coaches who brought in meditation, or coaches that brought in, it was enigma. There was a point where it was an enigma, and it was like, it just takes one company that something magnificent happens. One.
Well, let's do that.
You could just find me a freaking place to live. I'd be really appreciate. Forget this other stuff, man. I just got told I can't have my river house. I'm like, oh, really? Okay.
Oh, bummer.
It's funny, funny, it has water damage. They have to fix it. Anyway. I'm safe.
So Julie, so what's our, yeah,
I
here
need
it is, 1st of
I actually
December.
have to go.
You gotta go, I do too, pretty soon.
Okay, you guys go. I love you. I'm happy to show up next week and just build on this. It feels like something's really, we're coming inside of the organism, and that feels really good. I gotta go, I'm sorry.
Bye, Shel.
Bye, Shel.
Can't do that.
So do we continue to deepen and then start or do something after the 1st of the year so we're not burdened? I got people coming in from out of town, blah, 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 blah. It is the holiday season coming up. So, but I feel like our discussion is, our musing is awesome.
It is. Go, Julie.
Well, I don't know how to answer that. Because where I was at the beginning of our meeting is not where I'm at now. I'm in a deeper query in
Good.
how to simplify as first steps. Simplify. Like what would be something really simple and replicable that could go like hotcakes? And that feels good to think like that. Like I'm getting nigglings of the answer, which I haven't had that for a long time. So when I say that, it's like, I know that there's a piece coming that's going to say how to simplify this so that it's not a huge burden. Yeah, so I don't have the answer, John, but perhaps we'll just meet next week, which will be the 1st of December. And let Linda watch this and I'll ask those questions and see what wants to come through from the great information, the informative field, information field. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to ask the question, how to simplify. To me, we have to generate revenue and be a business model to make this go. And so what is the ultimate legacy? What are we doing that literally will say, yep, you got it now, go, that's it. If there was just simply one thing we could do to move forward, John, you and I could go start that business on the side and we'd be all over the place. And is that the best use? Like you going into this county of Boulder is like me getting on a stage with 5,000 people or 10,000 people or whatever and start delivering the message. But it all points it back to that same core, I think, of what we have to offer. And that those 5 principles of, starting with our wholeness and understanding that. So I think we could simplify, and I'm, it's like it's out here going like this to me. So I don't know what the next step is, but I know I'm not going to do December like I did 2020, and I'm not going to do 2021 like I did 2019, 2020. I'm ready, but I am ready for simplification and a lot of creativity and a lot of fun.
Yeah. I appreciate, Glenn, what that perspective is, we all can have wild fantasies, but let's be realistic here is what it takes energetically to do that. And that's why I think, great things start from the acorn, become the tree. And what is it that we could, boom, just like the 5 circles. If we just that and some very basic solutions on how to actuate that for a group or something, that's what I'm saying, is just like, okay, then we go from there. Who knows?
You know what it feels like? It feels like it's as simple as the Stop, Drop, and Roll campaign. Have you all heard of Stop, Drop, and Roll? That's what it feels like. It's going to come in as boom. Do you know what Stop, Drop, and Roll is, Glenn? You're looking like you don't.
No, I don't think so.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
think so.
Well, Michael would have been younger, but that was what our kids learned when there's the house is on fire. If you catch fire, you stop,
Right.
drop, and roll.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Stop, drop, and roll. Boom. And the kids learned it in school. So, if I start on fire, I have to stop, drop, and roll. Oh, okay. That's done. That's simple. That's what it feels like coming, is like that piece is going to boom. So I'm going to,
again, the question is, how does that fit the context of good of the whole? So back to the expression of this umbrella good of the whole, why does it exist? You know, so that what can happen, and then noticing the emergence of these various expressions. And we're in two roles here. We're in the role of the good of the whole umbrella of the whole thing, and then creating a mechanism for the the expressions to emerge, like Ohana or like Pachamama, or whatever. And this is another expression of, oh, let's help people begin to think more like we're thinking. So maybe begin to look at it like that. So, you know, maybe before we dive into the weeds, we've been working on trying to get this overall expression identified, this overall umbrella to have its clarity of why it exists, so that what can happen. And, you know, we're almost there. But in a lot of ways, it's easier to dive into the weeds of, oh, let's do this, this, and this, than it is to get that overall expression complete, so that we're really clear that we're operating under the umbrella and it's serving us.
Totally agree.
And we're going to have, in the next 60 days, this country and our globe is going to have a very transformative experience. More people are going to die. More people are going to get sick. And I'm saying a lot more. And it's going to impact a lot of people around each of us in ways that we can't imagine. And I mean, we opened up this connection field to be in service to that, to have a place for people to be heard and to be part of and to be supported and going through. And it's my thinking that it's just, this thing is exploding, and it's gonna, you know, the next 2 weeks as we go into Christmas, and then the weeks after Christmas going into January, people are getting together. We are gonna be sick puppies.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's the solstice and this really huge astrological thing lining up on the solstice that's going to usher in incredible change. And so in the long run, we're all equipped as understanding global transition, right? But in the meantime, how do we manage? So what is that? I like that idea of the overall expression with clarity and purpose, because good of the whole exists so that what?
So that
For me, let's prepare for this global transition. Let's prepare for conscious evolution. Let's land on the side of building the new world and building the new humanity that is a culture of peace and wholeness.
That's so great. Okay, so I do have to go because I got a call coming in, but I've been monitoring Biden and Kamala and their message that they're putting out now about the United States of America. And it is very kind. It is very good of the whole-ish, right down to the bottom line. It's over and over. I actually recorded some things just to put it together and listen to the rhetoric now that's coming out. We are going to be moving into in our nation, and boy, oh boy, we're on target.
Well, we
Good of the
are.
whole is on target.
And before we get to where they can become effective, it's going to be, you know,
It's gonna be a while.
February, March, April. And between now and then, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And we are setting up to just be, and it's not just our country, it's the whole world.
This whole world.
Yeah.
We're gonna be needed more and more.
Led, you know, our country's leading the charge into the mess. And it's not going to shift, I don't think, much until they get to become effective and their people and their teams start to do that. And that's not going to, you know, it's going to take a while. And in the meantime, we're going to be just
I think we're in the perfect position.
impacted. So we've, you know, it's a good time for us to, again, take our time, get good of the whole, really solid in its core essence, which is back to Julie paying you to do the website, get the basics of this new website in place so that it's functional and it expresses who we think we are now and is pretty easy to modify to become who we're going to be tomorrow and next week and whatever,
Yeah.
and is easier for you down the road because nobody else is coming. And if we
Thanks.
don't
I love you too. I gotta
figure
run.
this out-
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
Big hugs.
Thanks, Glenn.
So we got to pay you. You know, you take the money you need, whatever, to focus on getting us to the next level, and then we can have a space for these emergent expressions to come into.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm just seeing each of us doing our own part may look totally different. It might not be one big program.
No, oh no,
Yeah.
yeah, could be, it's probably, and we've got other, and all this 144 people, they could be, those people are going to want to come up with programs and expressions and stuff, and we're going to, if we move in that direction, we need to have a platform for them to use,
Yeah,
and we've got the makings of it already with the connection field, but we need to make it bigger, better, faster.
yeah,
And so it's we're learning, but we got to create ways to allow these new expressions to emerge that we don't even know what they're likely to be.
I think that's so true. We will be a response. We will be a global transition response to what's happening right now. And so what is that legacy? What is that?
We're an immune system.
Telekey, you know, it's
Yeah, we're an
already,
immune system responding,
yeah. Yeah,
and the globe is going to be even more desperately in need of some kind of a loving response. What the heck do I do? I just lost both my parents, and I mean, families are, you know, we're pushing toward 1 million cases a day.
and
It could
as
be at
that
1 million.
happens, families are getting wiped out and businesses are getting wiped out and support
Yes.
systems are getting wiped out and infrastructure is getting wiped out. And yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And there's going to be a huge amount of funding come down the line, and we could be in a place in February or March to apply for, you know, $1 million in government CARES funding that's going to be available because they're going to put trillions of dollars into this into the economy because we're going to have to, because people are going to have nowhere to go and they're going to have nothing to eat and nowhere to sleep.
yeah.
So we've got a rethinking coming of the whole structure of capitalism.
And you know,
in our face.
looking at, I need to go too, but looking at the Codes for a Healthy Earth and focusing on the World Water Law, that literally helping people come together around water, of establishing pure water, clean air for ourselves, not just our grandchildren and great grandchildren. It's like for us today. That there's some foundational pieces that we can all get behind and see how we can work together. And I believe that will give us direction and hope and healing through the consciousness of water. And yeah, so it's like, how do we like literally be ready and poised and flow with this, not, yeah, pushing it.
No, we can't push it. We have to be in the flow of the, you know, again, I kind of like the idea of the immune system response.
Yeah.
The stem cell adjustment that keeps the cancer cells from multiplying. New thinking for an emerging world. You know, it's all about cooperation and collaboration, like you and I talked about before.
It's in my book, Fractured Grace. We are the
Yeah.
immune system responding right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's look at that and say, wow, we've got this already. You've got languaging for it. So we're 90% there. We just need to land it and say, oh, and then say, okay, this is it. And let's lock this thing down for a while and we're not going to change it for 60 days.
Yeah.
And this is who we are. And what does it fit here? And let's go.
Well, and let everybody say, I'm in on that, or no, I don't want to, but I'm going to go work on this, and it's like,
Exactly.
boom. Because
Exactly.
the model of having like your DBA and what have you is a great model. And maybe somebody wants to go do something else and they're not on board with education or consulting or teaching or, whatever it is. So,
Well,
yeah.
education
Okay.
is a lot of work. I mean, I was in the training industry for a long time and I got tired of writing 10 proposals and I get, 2 accepted, 1 accepted. And then you go work on those. And then it's like, wow, it gets old, but somebody's got to write the proposals
Yeah.
and propose the intervention and lay all that out. That's not, and then you got to get the training director they're kind of the first ones to get their budgets cut, to be able to go fight for you in the company to get funding to make something happen. And those have been historic roadblocks to innovation and change.
Yeah.
But it's not.
The historic roadblocks. See, and we have to create something that's so attractive that now we're not bumping up against the roadblocks, but that people are choosing to leave the peripheral where evolution happens on the edges and they literally leave and go over here. So we're not heading to the center where there's the most resistance. We literally are staying on the fringes and creating something so desirable, so compelling. I got to go look at Marion's 3 words she gave me are on my refrigerator. Compelling. I'm going to tell you them.
Yeah.
Just so you could thank Marion again for that. This is on my refrigerator and they inspire me every day. What is so
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. Oh, it's dark out here. I need to turn on my lights.
Yeah, well, it's dark on your side of the planet.
It's dark. It's getting darker. I could see that with John at Boulder too. Here we go. What is so evocative, insightful, and compelling that people want to come along? Anyway, those were
and those are the words for good of the whole too. What is that for us, for good of the whole?
yeah.
That compels people to want to be part of it, to become not just mentors, but to become supporters, to become patrons, to want to say I'm part of that. And we need to have that mechanism in place for them to be able to participate.
Yeah.
And
that's
the
why
work we need to get under our belt.
Yep. That's where I'm motivated for. So thank you. And thank Marion. Those words help focus again. What is so compelling, insightful, and evocative that people will want to choose this? Because and it's going to be less difficult as we go through these troubling times.
It is, because people are going to be searching for something new that'll work.
Yeah. Okay. So simplicity, joy.
Yes. Simplicity, joy, and flow.
And flow. That's good. Okay. I'm going to add those
Okay.
3 words. Simplicity, joyful, simple, joyful, and flow. Simple, joyful, flow. Thanks, Glenn.
Well, it's good for me too. I've got to do the same thing with our whole housing conversation, because landlords are kicking people out now. Businesses are closing, empty space. What happens? What happens?
Yeah.
And we're in the room where it's happening.
And look
that
at
song, The Room Where It Happens.
Yeah.
From
The
Hamilton.
room where it happens. Was that what was the room? What was that you were saying? Not the room where it happens? Is that what it is?
It's the room. There's a song. I want to be in the room where it happens. The room where it happens.
Okay.
And then I want to be.
Rewrite it. We're gonna rewrite it.
Where it happens. And then you want to say, I was in the room where it happened.
There you go.
You want to be in the room. You want to be in the room where it happens, or do you want to have been in the room where it happened?
Where it happened.
And it's like, well, okay. I mean, we're in the, there is shit happening, And it is not very pretty.
Hamilton. What would
Hamilton.
you do now? What would you do today? What would Hamilton do?
What do we want to do in the room? And
Yeah,
do you remember what happened in the room?
no?
Hamilton went into the room with the two representatives from, I think, Virginia, and I think maybe the two representatives from Virginia. At the time, the government of the United States, what there was of it for the Declaration of Independence, was centered in New York and Philadelphia. You know, Philadelphia and Boston. You know, they had those in Boston. They were having those meetings. You know, the Continental Congress and all that stuff. And so the capital of the United States was going to be in New York. And Hamilton had come up with a financial plan for how to fund the government as Secretary of the Treasury, and how the money system would work. And the guys from Virginia didn't like it because it involved dealing with slavery and the way that the economic system worked in the South with all the slavery and big split. And the three of them went into a room, and Aaron Burr wanted to be in that room in the worst way, but he was not. And what Hamilton did is he traded them said, okay, we'll agree to move the capital from New York City to the Potomac, and where it is now in Washington, D.C., but we'll keep the financial capital in New York. So they kept the Federal Reserve in New York with the money, and they moved the capital of the country to the Potomac in Virginia. And they all agreed, and then these guys voted for the Declaration of Independence.
Mm.
The financial structure. It was a room where it happened.
The room
And
where it
nobody knows what that conversation was.
Hmm.
But it was a big trade-off, compromise,
Negotiation, yeah.
negotiation, and it worked. That's how it happened. So anyway, here we are.
Okay, so I'm gonna go step one, baby steps. I'm coming in with simplicity, joy, flow, insightful, compelling, evocative, and thinking about the state of where we will be, not where we've been.
Right. Past is gone. All we've got is the present and the next step going forward.
That's right.
What do we
Okay,
want now? That's my thinking, at least.
yeah.
We
All
can't
right.
look at the past to guide where we need to go. All right, girl. Thank you. Big hugs.
you.
And
Thank you.
you are totally
Oh, I won't
welcome.
see you next week. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sending you my
I'll be-
love and my whole healing response. I'm gonna just
Thank you.
give you energetic support. What day is your procedure? Let me know.
It's on Wednesday.
On Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay,
Wednesday morning. Yeah, early, and then Thursday I fly back here.
okay.
Yeah.
I've got you covered with prayer and healing energy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And hey, many blessings for Jeff too. He's, in a lot of ways, he's had a lot of courage and yeah,
Oh,
we
he's
have
got
our
a ton of
personalities
courage.
and all that. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah. There's a ton of lessons there for a lot of people, even the world we're in right now. It's like
Yeah.
a completely disabled world that gives people hope and joy. Like literally, if he can live 56 years in his body, we can do this shit now. We can do this shit. So yeah, he's quite an inspiration. He's pretty amazing. So thank you. And
All right, dear.
we will lose him, and we'll probably lose both of my in-laws. If they get COVID, they won't survive. And it's just, you're right. Buckle your
We're going to be out of
seatbelt.
hospital. We're going to next week, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be out of hospital beds.
So sad.
And you have a heart attack, or you have an appendicitis, or you have a car accident, there will be no place to go.
Yeah. Right now, so a week and a half ago, when Jeff went into the ER, we're now on it's not a lottery system, but it's a central place for the whole state of Nebraska, that they have a clearinghouse. And when a bed opens, then they place them. So you can't find a bed in your community. You go on the hotline, the COVID hotline, and they give you the next available bed. And you might have to go 180 miles this way, or 180 miles this way, or 300 miles this way.
Right.
And that's where you go. You go where they tell you, because there's no beds.
There's no beds and they're filling up, and we're gonna have, it's just, you know, the numbers, the statistics are there. It's just, we can't avoid the statistics and the numbers.
Well, here's another thing. I'm shocked that they gave Jeff one of their doses of that remdesivir
Remdesivir, yeah.
that they gave Trump. They gave him that whole treatment and plasma.
Wow.
Why they didn't save that for a healthy, able-bodied person?
Right.
That's what's next, is making life and death choices like that, and say, sorry, Jeff, we have nothing. You have to go home and die.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
But
exactly right.
and maybe that's what they should have done.
Yeah.
Because now he's going to suffer and starve himself to death. But he won't suffer if he just stops trying to eat. He's
Right.
not going to suffer. Once you're starving yourself, there's no suffering, there's no pain. But he doesn't have that in his head. He's suffering because he's fighting it like, I have to eat. And then he's choking and
Right. And
wiping
is he
himself
getting,
out.
since he's on hospice now, is he getting morphine?
He has it if he needs it, and other things, but he's not in that kind of pain. He's just choking and can't breathe and is tired and fatigued and can't sit up anymore. And you know, he never stood up, but he had a belt in his wheelchair, but he can't sit in his wheelchair belted in anymore because he just can't, everything. Yeah, it's sad.
So, you know, it's transition time for, you know, and we're all gonna be there. It's just a matter of timing.
Yeah. And what way
Yeah.
we're gonna go.
Yeah, and you've
Yeah.
had that experience of it, you know, you've kind of got yours, but hopefully your antibodies are still strong from the
Yeah.
experience that you had.
Yeah.
And, but take care, you need to take care of yourself too. We all do. And Quincy and the baby, and, you know, it's like, it's different.
We have another grandbaby coming. Number 5's coming.
Wow.
So yeah, we've got 3 babies, and then Cooper
And
just
they're not gonna be able to, they may not be able to use the hospital.
right in May.
Depending on.
They might not be able to.
May might be, May's better. But, you know,
Better than
baby's
April.
coming up now, better
Yeah.
than April and March. And, you know, look at what's happening right now. And somebody needs to go in there and have a baby. Excuse me, this is not
Where are you gonna go? Yeah.
where you're gonna go. What are you gonna do? There's gonna be huge unanticipated impacts.
Yeah.
So
Here we go.
you and Kevin just stay safe, stay home, and don't see anybody.
Well, thank you. You know what? Kevin went back to work after quarantine today. We'll see how we're both healthy, but
You know, over here, if we're under quarantine, we can't leave our condo. And the police come and check, and we have the National Guard on our island. They come and check, sometimes twice a day.
wow.
If we're not here, it's a $5,000 fine.
Wow.
Done and done.
Wow.
If you go into quarantine, you don't leave. People bring food, they bring groceries, they shop for you. You do not leave your home.
That's amazing.
And that's where we are. We're going to that place on December 2nd. We're back. Our airlines are already canceling flights, and the 14-day quarantine started December 2nd here. No more tourism. So our island is shut down again.
Seeing
Anybody that flies in.
Jeff's care providers have COVID. So now they're prolonging his need to quarantine because they're taking care of him. And he wants to see his nieces and nephews. But literally nobody can until they're all healthy.
You gotta have a 14-day window.
Yeah.
And So it's just, we're just going into a deep, dark hole here in the next, and Trump's not doing anything about it. So it's where it's going to be.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating?
So like I say, it's your quarantine. If you're going to stop the spread, you got to stay home and not keep re-exposing yourself or getting around people, even when you're wearing masks. If you're around that.
And the CDC came out last week and said they may switch the 14 days to 7 or 10 days to encourage people to follow it. And then have in the 7 to 10 days, if you don't have boom, 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 then you're okay. So they're going to, CDC's changing that, but it hasn't been changed yet. And then Jeff is contagious for 21 days, but my son was told to quarantine being COVID positive for 14. So even different providers are giving them different information.
Yeah, it's crazy. We need to have one standard, and that's the standard, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got these states where they won't even allow communities to set standards, like Florida and South Dakota. So
Yeah.
it's a soup of death and sickness.
Yeah. Oh my.
It's not going to get any better, and there's going to be a ton of disaster for the next 60 days.
Will you be super safe in the
We'll try.
airport?
We'll do our best. We're wearing 2 masks and a face shield, and straight in, straight back. So as best we can.
And don't touch things.
Don't
Okay.
touch things.
Sending
All
you
right,
much
dear.
love. Oh, I've been recording this whole time. Okay.